this year, we finally bit the bullet and we drilled a very large hole from the other side of the hill that no one had ever drilled before. And we drilled about 1,100 meters to get the right angle. And we drilled it through this exploration target. And we hit a very, very significant amount of tungsten, which we were forecasting and had modeled that. But I think what surprised us all was the rest of the critical minerals that we identified coming with that. But we basically had the tungsten coming through as wolframite. We had fluorite or fluorspar, depending which country you're in. We have molybdenum, we have bismuth, and we also have a very interesting mineral called rubidium. Now, for those that don't know, rubidium is one of those very rare minerals, which we appear to have in quite high quantities. Currently trades for about $1.3 million per ton, but it's also one of those very niche minerals where you can't actually get a lot of data on how deep and how large the market is globally. So we're currently studying that mineral. The good thing for us is all these minerals at the bottom of this hole in Tassie are all continuous. So it looks like it should be amenable to some form of bulk mining.
These are real material issues, right? Because the challenges that operators face is, kind of an archaic vision of mining. And, this I've done some work with, organization here that sort of goes into the classrooms that talks to kids about mining opportunities. And, sometimes what we're dealing with is, the literature that kids read, the textbooks and the course material that they get and young grades is really skewed in terms of the perspectives on mining and where, there might be a paragraph on, open pit and a paragraph on kind of underground mining and then 5 or 6 pages on how horrible it is for the environment. So there's a real education process that needs to happen. And, while I was with PDAC, we did some actually public research and it wasn't quite as bad as I thought. We saw a hesitation on behalf of, we did some focus grouping with just sort of random Canadians, and it wasn't quite as bad as we thought in terms of people's knowledge or understanding about mining. I think there is a view that, oh, well, if we just recycled more, and we know that that's not going to overcome the dramatic increase in utilization for smartphones and technology and things like that.
If we look at the gold market, how do you see gold or the gold market globally evolving? And I suppose, where does TRX fit into that sort of landscape?
Yeah, so with regards to, if we're talking about the gold price, I think the first aspect of that is the gold price has performed fairly well. It hasn't performed like crypto has, though, right? So let's keep that in mind for a second as I get into this. So, look, the geopolitical risk of the world is high. I don't see that cooling down. I don't see it cooling down as President-elect Trump comes in. I think it may increase for a period of time. We also see governments unwilling to cut back on spending. So I still think deficits are going to be going forward, which means inflation, because deficits are printing of money. And so I don't see that changing. So I think gold prices are going to continue to perform in an upward direction and continue to move higher. One thing about gold is that it, if you look at the run on crypto, I would say if crypto can run like that, why can't gold run at some point in time like that? Now, crypto is not as mature of a market as gold is. It is more speculative of a market. Gold has future contracts and all that sort of stuff. But gold is exchangeable. I am seeing in the gold market a lot of Eastern players looking to get access to gold. I think that's being driven by geopolitics.
When you look at the challenges that the junior mining sector has faced, in particular, challenges with access to capital, that's really where we began our focus in building Canstar. So bringing in an investor like J. Paul Austin III, who did have a lot of let's say venture capital expertise, quantitative finance expertise, even ag tech expertise, but had never before really been involved in the mining sector. That was kind of proof of concept for us that there is going to be an appetite from investors that haven't necessarily been traditional investors. And that being said, I think when you're speaking to that kind of investor, you need to speak in a way that maybe is a little bit different from the way that the junior mining sector has been promoted in the past. I think you need to be, for example, from an exploration standpoint, I think you have to be more transparent about the risk reward associated with exploration. And I think you have to take more of a portfolio driven approach. And that's one of the things that we liked about the asset base that we have with Canstar, is that we do have the kind of scale where you can have multiple potential deposits You have multiple, let's say, exploration risk factors that you can diversify your exploration activities there. And in addition to that, we have a foundation where we can begin to grow our asset base and bring in, more advanced projects as well, which kind of diversifies our risk a bit there. So it's taking a little bit of a different business model approach there. That's bringing in new sources of capital.
The biggest challenge at the moment in Africa in the mining sector are the changes that are happening all along. The number of elections that have happened over the last 18 months and the changes and established governmental regimes being in place for many, many years. You're looking at Zambia, you're looking, and we've had some peaceful transitions, Zambia and Ghana being two examples, but Mozambique hasn't. So the political change and what that brings is probably going to be one of the highlighted challenges for 2025. The landscape changes, the decision makers change because everybody picks their people and they go into these positions. So political change is going to be one of the key themes for 2025. It's going to be a challenge, but by the same token, it's an opportunity. And it's about applying the principles of transparency and developing the relationships with government and the new people that change and spending time with them, whether it's having tea and just understanding their thinking all the way through to formal engagement. The second big challenge for 2025 is probably going to be technology and AI for two reasons. One, I grew up in an environment where the principle seeing is believing was drummed into us. Unless you see something with your own eyes, don't believe it. And now you simply can't do it. What we see is not potentially real. You take that into account and then all of the AI that goes with it. And there's been good progress on the AI, and particularly on the mining side, technology, watching what is going on, real-time data feedback, and being able to amend things.
Get there to build a mine. So we started effectively building the mine this time last year. Well, we obviously started a little bit earlier, around summer 23, yes. Overall, it obviously takes a huge amount of effort. You have to take a lot of risk before you can actually get to the decision of starting the mine. Also, what is interesting with this mine, because this was a past producing mine, so a lot of the infrastructure was already there, and therefore with a relatively small resource, so 320,000 ounces, 7-year mine life roughly, we could actually fund about $100 million to build a new processing plant and start the development of mining. And we did that all in 1 year. And while we were doing that over 1 year, we were dealing with the biggest ice year or coldest year in South Greenland over 50 years. We're dealing with various different weather-related issues in terms of flying people in and out, but still managed to get to the point of producing first gold, which we were extremely proud and mainly proud of our team there. And this is very hard. It's very difficult in a place like Greenland. There are logistical challenges. There are servicing challenges. There are various things that can go wrong. But thanks to the fact that we have managed to build within the organization of Amaroq effectively a team who knows how to operate in Greenland, then we managed to be successful. And so over 10 years, we built that up. And there are not, well, I want to say there's no other company in Greenland in mining that has that at the moment.
Whenever I look at someone coming in pitching me a story, I want to know how much money they've committed to it. Do they have $2 in it, or do they have multiple $1 million in it? Like, how much are they really committed to this story? Then you just look at the market cycle. Where are we? I happen to think right now is an excellent time to be building positions in junior companies, because I think the junior companies are going to have a bigger run than the seniors. They have in the past when you get into a gold market, and I believe we're heading into a gold market. So I'd say right now is a time for building your portfolios in promising juniors. You also want to look at today, certainly in North America, it's become more difficult to permit mines, taking longer. Now that might change with Trump getting in, becoming the president of the United States, and that type of influence might extend to other countries. We're seeing it happening in Argentina, positive developments there with the government. We're seeing it in Ecuador, El Salvador. Hopefully, we'll see it in Canada. We're going to have a change of government soon, finally. But are you close to roads? Are you close to available labor pools, talented labor pools? Is there power coming in? Is it already permitted? All of those go to make a much more attractive investment opportunity.
It is interesting how different it is to be in a project that has those things in place from a project that doesn't, and you clearly see that when downturns such as the 23 to 24 downturn hits. At the same time, it is very interesting to see that that some of the most successful players are the ones that go through these downturns well, and are the ones that look at these downturns as opportunities to accelerate, opportunities to position themselves for the upturn again, opportunity to get into other ventures, to buy some few others. And you certainly have seen that in this lithium space also. You've seen Rio Tinto come in, you've seen Pilbara, even in a moment like this, by letting resources in Brazil. You've seen now the Chinese trying to merge at the same time that they're buying a few more resources here and there. And you're seeing us hopefully accelerate towards execution. So it is in these times that you pick the winners, of the coming cycle. And those who have invested in the past at the right time in what are the heavyweights of the sector today, but only 5 years ago, have been very successful in their investment and have been very successful in their ventures afterwards.